Hi guys, it's me Lewis, and today I'm here to do a little rant video on why the LGBT community has fallen. As of this month, and this year in particular, this is supposed to be Pride Month, right? Or a lot of us thought. And during this year in 2025, people like me have started to notice a massive shift within the community, and not in a good way. Now, before we get into the main topic of this video, I need to rewind the clock back to around 2010 or 2013, so to say. Is that the LGBT community was specifically designed for individuals who are into the same-sex relationships to have their own little community and be left alone, right? Which a lot of us can easily get behind, right? So you got your little community, you want to be left alone without shoving shit down people's throats, right? Okay, fair enough. We can get along just fine. But then, of course, fast forward to the early to mid 2010s, activists, porn addicts, degenerates, and let's not forget sex pests, went out of their way to plague the absolute shit out of this community by basically expressing their self-entitled, selfish arsehole ways by forcing their beliefs down everyone's throat in order to increase their numbers, or community numbers. I should be more accurate on. And let's not forget how very creepy they are when they try to force their themselves onto other people, if they're not even interested in them at all, regardless of sexuality. And no, it's not transphobic or homophobic to point out someone who is a complete self-entitled fucking arsehole. Anyone can be a self-entitled fucking arsehole, regardless of sexuality or gender. And this happens through any fucking community, but unfortunately, the LGBT is quite possibly far worse by showing that. Not to mention full-blown narcissism, which can also relate to the whole dating scene, especially with someone who's transgender, right? So let's take that for example. You have someone who is, let's say, transitioned from a man to a woman, right? And they are going out of their way to basically catfish a straight man. And when they get called out on it and they start throwing a fucking temper tantrum as to why that straight man doesn't want to fucking date them, maybe the reason why is that you shouldn't fucking catfish them at all. Maybe the whole reason why they want to date a woman is through a biological sense, not you either hiding your junk or having that shit cut off into believing that your delusions are part of reality, which of course it isn't. And it's no wonder narcissism has become more of a fucking problem with this community than you might think. Hell, a lot of these individuals, if I'm going to be honest with you, are not happy with themselves because, as I mentioned, the LGBT community is all about expressing yourself. It's about hoping that this community will accept you for who you are. However, the question remains though, are they actually happy with themselves? I don't think they are. Because when you look at individuals who have multicolored hair and giant fucking nose piercings and possibly have the big fuck off glasses, it's a clear sign to me that something has gone horribly wrong in their lives, and they don't want to address it, whether it's through sheer trauma or through just sheer embarrassment. We don't know. The point is, something's not right with them, to the point where they have to physically alter their appearance by making themselves look hideous and just freakish as possible in order to make it as some type of coping mechanism. But let's be real, it's not actually working. It's making shit worse for them. But the problem is that they don't want to address it, and that type of like emotion has been buried for so long. Whether it's around like the late 2000s or the early 2010s, again, we don't know. Something has gone horribly wrong, and they don't want to address that shit. And it's no wonder why their narcissism and their self-hatred, their self-loathing, their self-entitledness is there, because they personally believe that they should be getting that they're the ones that should be getting special treatment, rather than thinking about equal treatment to all, regardless whether they're part of that community or not. Maybe this gives people the reason not to trust them in the first place. Henceforth, why multiple individuals within these communities have banded together and are starting to push back against the LGBT, as well as the corporations who have gaslighted them into thinking that they are number one, that they are top dog. And finally, corporations who kept on changing their fucking profiles from the average looking logo to a rainbow version of that is slowly but surely coming to a permanent halt, and I hope to God that's the fucking case, because companies like Apple, IBM, and even fucking Microsoft, being those three examples, have finally stepped away from that and said, okay, we're not going to jump on this trendy bandwagon anymore. You know, we need to follow where the money flows, and that's precisely what corporations do. They only saw this community as a fucking trend. They don't fucking see you as people. They never fucking have. They never gave two flying fucks about you. All they saw was you as a pinata filled with fucking money, in hopes that they can easily make bank off of. And with the LGBT community, they got fooled by this. They got bamboozled by corporatism. And it's no wonder the average normie can instantly see through that and say, guys, you're being fucking tricked. These companies don't give a flying fuck about you. Whether they have actual activists who share the same common trait as you, they don't give a fuck. They hate you regardless. And this particular behaviour has done nothing but caused multiple members within the LGBT community, from the gays, lesbians, transgenders, bisexuals, all of them who have common sense, to immediately leave the community in droves. And even they said, fuck the community I was once part of, I'm done with it. Like, we can't save it now. Like, we fucked up. We made the mistake of allowing these bastards in, and we fucking regret it. And finally they're starting to realise how depraved their community that they were once part of has become. But let's not get off topic here, because I want to focus on the whole situation regarding policing one's beliefs and using pronouns as a barricade to try and avoid taking any form of accountability, right? So when you have an individual who is using pronouns and using it to gaslight their way for attention and trying to prove that they are the higher superiority, and years ago, that there used to be some power to that, because let's say if some individual criticizes them for having pronouns because it's completely redundant or completely stupid, right? Guess what happens to that individual? Not only do they get fucking cancelled, they lose their fucking job. Their bank accounts will possibly get locked down to where they can't even access it to feed their fucking families and pay bills. Their reputation is permanently tarnished because one fucking group cannot take any form of criticism. And this is why discourse and agreeing and disagreeing is part of the whole human mindset. It helps us understand each other and understand the world. It helps us push forward into the future, which unfortunately the LGBT cannot do that. The only thing that they could do is push themselves back because they believe that they are the higher superiority, and that to me is fucking bullshit. But keep in mind, right, this whole situation, right, people are going to judge you by how you look, right? So let's say you have an individual who claims that they are a he and a him, right? Let's just say that, right? But even though they're clearly a woman. The thing is, though, people aren't going to buy that. They're just gonna think of you as either fucking crazy or a person seeking attention, right? That, again, pronouns just don't work. They just don't. I'm sorry. Like, and it's no wonder pronouns started to become memed to oblivion, because it's gotten so out of hand, so out of control, to the point where anything can be a fucking pronoun now. Hell, some individual can take the piss out of you and claim that they are quote unquote sexually identifying as a toilet, for example, right? But the thing is, no, but again, they're making fun of that because they know how fucking ridiculous this bullshit is. If I'm going through with the biological trace of how I was born, again, people are gonna see me as a man because I look like a man. I have a fucking beard. I sound like a man. I've got a deep voice. You know, like that's like people want shit based on facts, not delusions, and I'm glad people are starting to push back on those said delusions because it has spiraled out of control. Like you can't expect every single fantasy to be real. Like that causes mental illness to skyrocket because now people have started to do their homework and realize that every time they get these buzzwords thrown at them for criticizing this bullshit or not accepting it, they've started to realize that the buzzwords racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, and so on, all of them just translate to one simple word in English: fuck you. That is literally what these activists and degenerates are saying to you, is a massive fuck you for not accepting their bullshit. And thank God, thank fucking God, it's starting to backfire. But very soon, we're going to see a massive trend of these individuals who have gone out of their way to basically manipulate children into being part of transitioning or claiming that they're gay or lesbian without letting them decide for themselves, right? Because these sick bastards who've plagued this community will never let kids be kids at all. They want them to be like them, sexual degenerates in the future to carry on that fucked up legacy. And in fact, they shouldn't even be called a legacy to begin with. But the thing is, what again when you're allowing children to have chemicals being pumped into their system which will alter their DNA permanently without any chance of it being reversed. It all reminds me so much of how the Nazis experimented on Jews or Jewish children, so to say, right? Because they did the exact same fucking thing. And when it comes to doctors and activists who allow this shit to happen, very soon there will be a law placed on them where they will get heavily prosecuted for this shit. And once that happens, their lives will be permanently fucked. They will realize that, holy shit, maybe I was the fucking bad guy all this time. Maybe I was the one who was so power hungry, so, you know, desperate for attention. Holy shit, I've ruined my own fucking life by basically taking a children's happy life and ruining it. Yeah, no shit, because you allowed your sexuality, your addiction to porn and your sexual fantasies take over. And that is the scary thing about it, is that these are the same people that will allow any source of depravity into their lives because their addiction of watching porn and their sexual fantasies allowed them to make these decisions, right? So as I mentioned in several rant videos ago, right, with a certain individual who did some fucked up shit to his mom, right, because he was a fucking porn addict, right. The same cycle happens with those individuals within the LGBT, right? They constantly watch that same type of cycle of porn over and over and over again. They start off with straight porn, they get bored of that. They watch lesbian porn, they get bored of that. They start watching gay and transgender porn, possibly lesbian porn if it's part of the female side of things, right? Problem is, that repeated cycle can break over time, and once that breaks, your fantasies will never be enough for you anymore, and eventually you could make the wrong decision in your life to where it can permanently ruin you, whether through depression or ending up in fucking prison. It doesn't matter. The point is, this community has destroyed itself because it had allowed the gates to be fucking open without going through background checks or being suspicious of individuals who may or may not look like them. That is why they've allowed any bastard in, and it's gotten to that breaking point where other communities are saying enough is enough, fuck this bullshit, we are done. And the reason why they're done with your fucking bullshit is because you trying to shove that shit into their communities from movies, TV shows, video games, beer, food, TV products. Hell, even spray bottles were getting infected by this shit. And finally, the pushback has become so immense that even corporations are starting to realize, oh shit, maybe the real customers who actually buy our products are actually holding our money hostage. No shit. And guess what? And again, corporatism and politics has destroyed this community as a whole. It's done. It's over. And I'm sorry to say this, but I really don't see the LGBT community being popular anymore. It may stick around, true, but the sad reality is it's going to become super irrelevant within the next, like, I would say 3 or 4 years. I guarantee you that will be the case. And one last thing I want to talk about before I go, with the whole debacle regarding June. Okay, since the LGBT community is practically on the brink of death at this point, one particular month celebration that's actually on the rise, and I think a lot of us can get behind this, is none other than Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And of course, and of course, in my personal opinion, this is actually quite a big deal, and I'm actually happy that more and more people are starting to address men's mental health as it barely gets recognised at all, because everyone tells men to just shut the fuck up and suck up to their emotions and just, deal with the consequences, even though a lot of men out there just can't deal with that shit. And given the fact that the LGBT's tasks were complete before their community started to crash and burn, I personally believe that men's mental health awareness can actually thrive in the future, and this could help us as a human society, thrive even more. We can actually solve the problems on what is wrong with individuals within that particular gender demographic, and very soon, once everything all comes to fruition, I personally believe that month will be accomplished as well in the future, and that can die down in the later on down the line. Okay, guys, that's all I have time for. So don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and tell me what are your thoughts on the whole situation regarding the LGBT. Do you think I made some valid points here? Do you think I've missed a few? Do you agree or disagree? Do let me know in the comment section. Okay, guys, peace out.